The northern winds sweep across the great Eurasian plains, carrying sheets of ice that sting like needles against exposed skin. Snow thickens in the air until the horizon disappears, swallowed by a white abyss. Winter has tightened its hold on the ancient steppe, and temperatures have plunged to nearly -40 degrees Fahrenheit. For half the year, this land turns into a frozen desert, merciless, silent, and indifferent to life. A modern person dropped into these conditions without advanced clothing or heated shelter would succumb within hours. Yet some 30,000 years ago, families lived through such winters not just with resilience, but with ingenuity. They raised children, crafted art of remarkable beauty, and shaped technologies that would define human survival. They accomplished all this without insulated houses, without metal tools, without the architecture we take for granted today. How did they endure the most severe winters humans have ever faced? The common image imagines Ice Age humans crouched beside small fires and cave entrances, but this image hides a far more extraordinary truth. Excavations across northern Eurasia reveal winter survival systems so advanced that they rival certain modern Arctic techniques. These shelters allowed Paleolithic communities to inhabit territories that would otherwise be unlivable. From circular pit dwellings hidden beneath the soil to elaborate domed structures built from mammoth bones, our ancestors engineered winter homes that were marvels of practical science. When the environment becomes hostile, turn the environment itself into a shield. This idea shaped every decision they made: what materials they used, how they positioned their shelters, how they controlled heat, airflow, and moisture. The earliest evidence of cold weather architecture appears in northern Russia. At sites dated to around 800,000 years ago, archaeologists uncovered deep, round pits carved into the earth, 8 feet down, 12 feet across. These were not random excavations, but purpose-built foundations for semi-subterranean dwellings. By sinking their homes below ground, these early humans exploited one of nature's most reliable allies, the stable warmth of the earth itself. Below a certain depth, soil maintains temperatures far warmer than the air above. Tool markings prove these depths were not guessed, they were calculated decisions. These were not primitive holes, they were carefully engineered thermal structures. Yet it was during the Upper Paleolithic period that winter shelter design reached extraordinary sophistication. At Dolní Věstonice in modern-day Czech Republic, archaeologists uncovered remnants of shelters that used layered insulation systems thousands of years before modern construction rediscovered the same ideas. These walls were assembled like composite armor. Closest to the interior, soft hides trapped warm air near the body. Surrounding that, mats of dried vegetation absorbed moisture while providing bulk insulation. The outermost shell consisted of tightly woven reed and bark panels, capable of resisting fierce winter gusts while still allowing moisture to escape. The result was a breathable, insulated barrier against cold and condensation. But nowhere is the genius of Ice Age engineering more dramatically displayed than in the world-famous mammoth bone houses of Ukraine and Russia. At the sites of Mezhyrich, Mezin, and Kostinki, dating from 25,000 to 15,000 years ago, excavators found immense circular structures built using the skeletons of mammoths. These were not temporary huts, they were purpose-built winter lodges shaped to endure months of extreme cold. Construction began by digging shallow circular trenches up to 16 feet wide. The soil removed was shaped into protective embankments around the perimeter. Then came the framework, massive bones from mammoths long dead, collected from natural bone fields. Skulls weighing more than 200 pounds anchored the base. Curved tusks arched overhead to form domes, while ribs and leg bones filled structural gaps. Over this skeletal frame, early humans stretched enormous mammoth hides, stitched with sinew thread using bone needles. Inside, smaller furs, fox, wolf, hare, were layered for enhanced insulation. Everything was fastened with toggles made from carved bone and twisted fiber. These coverings could be tightened or loosened depending on weather, functioning much like adjustable thermal panels. Heating these shelters demanded equal innovation. Wood was scarce on the steppe, so Paleolithic families perfected alternative fuels. They burned dried grasses, animal dung, fat-soaked bone fragments, and even pulverized bone powders. Chemical studies of ancient hearths show these fuels burned hotter and more efficiently than raw wood could in such climates.
Multiple hearths were arranged throughout the structure, a main fire at the center for warmth and cooking, with smaller heating stations placed strategically near work areas. This created zones of activity optimized for tool making, food preparation, sleeping, and childcare. Ventilation systems were another breakthrough. Without airflow, humidity from breath and cooking would freeze along interior walls. So builders created a network of vents, smaller openings near the ground to draw in fresh air, and larger exit vents near the top to release warm, moisture-laden air. The difference in temperature created a natural convection cycle that kept the shelter dry, warm, and breathable. Some shelters even included hide-covered flaps acting as adjustable vents. Inside these winter dwellings, life was highly organized. Families shared the central warmth, with elders and infants positioned in the warmest zones. Storage pits dug into frozen ground acted as natural freezers. These were connected to the main shelter by narrow tunnels, allowing access even during blizzards. Tools, weapons, and ritual objects were carefully arranged according to daily use and cultural tradition. Winter months were also seasons of creativity. This was the time when the famous Venus figurines were carved. Portable art, bone carvings, and decorated tools were made near firelight. These acts were not simply pastimes, they were psychological anchors, helping families endure the psychological strain of prolonged confinement. Construction of these winter shelters demanded coordination and foresight. Experimental archaeology shows that building a mammoth bone house likely required a team of 8 to 10 adults working for several weeks. Planning had to begin in late summer when conditions allowed for gathering materials, digging foundations, and assembling the frame. During winter, constant maintenance was necessary, tightening hides, replacing damaged bones, refreshing insulation layers. When winter ended, these shelters were often dismantled. The bones stayed in place, protected under earth mounds for future reuse. Portable hides, tools, and fittings were carried as families migrated to warmer seasonal camps. Despite their simplicity of tools, these ancient winter homes were astonishingly effective. Reconstructions show that internal temperatures could remain 40 to 50 degrees warmer than the frozen air outside, achieved with minimal fuel and no metal components. In some cases, their efficiency rivals that of modern Arctic structures built with advanced materials. The development of these shelters did more than protect families. It transformed human history. Mastery of extreme cold allowed early communities to spread across northern Eurasia, where vast herds and new resources awaited. This expansion supported larger populations, encouraged cultural exchange, and set the stage for the technological leap of the Upper Paleolithic. The knowledge required to build these shelters was deep, precise, and essential. Every generation had to teach the next with absolute accuracy. A single mistake, an improperly placed vent, a weak bone joint, a poorly insulated wall could lead to disaster. These winter technologies were not uniform. Each region tailored solutions to its environment. Coastal Arctic groups learned to build on frozen ground. Steppe populations engineered wind-resistant structures. Mountain communities devised avalanche-safe designs. Forest edge groups integrated natural barriers into shelter layouts. When winter ended, many of these complex winter systems faded. The warming climate made extreme cold shelters less necessary. Only in the far Arctic did echoes of these techniques survive. Today, modern researchers studying these ancient designs have rediscovered principles now used in survival training, military Arctic operations, and emergency shelters deployed in remote disaster zones. The legacy of these Paleolithic engineers endures in every insulated home, every cold weather jacket, every structure designed to retain heat efficiently. The next time you step into a warm room on a freezing day, remember that the roots of that comfort stretch back to families who faced the Ice Age, armed only with stone tools, ingenuity, and a deep understanding of nature's hidden strengths. Their inventions, born in darkness, snow, and bitter wind, became the foundation for humanity's ability to conquer winter itself.